Quiet.
Now we're good. All right. So if we want to start with some introductions, I'll go first. I'm AJ Gagaza, the Western District member at large. Um, I that's me. I'm out Alpha. There you go. You
I
Who's
think
next?
it's, uh, we can go down the line, or
I'll
so
be right back. I think the line's in a different order for everyone.
AJ, you went first, so you just tell who's gonna go down the line.
Kate, go ahead. Or Natalie, go ahead, and we'll.
Oh, it's me. Okay, I'm Natalie Kumara. I am the Western District Vice President of Special Projects for TBS, and I am from the Omicron chapter at the University of Utah.
Uh, Kate.
Hello, I'm Kate. I am the Western District President for KK Psi, and I'm from MUPI at the University of Oregon. Yoda.
Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor from Omicron. Not Western District anything.
Charlene.
Hi, I'm Charlene Rami. I'm from Lambda Alpha, and I am one of the Western District governors. Yes, and I was a historian when I was active, so this is exciting.
Um, we're also joined by Sam, who currently had to leave, but he is from the Iota Alpha chapter as well. All right, so let's get started. We talked about in part one about resources that we're currently using to take down history, um, what works, what doesn't work. So, if one of Kate, would you like to start us off?
About how we record history.
Yeah, like how? What do you use? Do you, do you have a committee, stuff like that?
We do not have a committee, but we have a historian who's great, and obviously, and our historian is in charge of keeping track of activity forms, as well as feedback forms. So that just means after every project, the committee chair who did who's in charge of the project records what happened and what was good, what was bad, what they did, and then also any member can submit feedback, which we also record. And then also the historian does our scrapbook and keeps photos and records everything that we do through photo and video as well, which we usually we store that on our Google Drive and our Facebook page is usually where that stuff is stored.
All right.
Yeah.
Taylor?
And we've been toying with the idea of doing a time capsule sort of thing
That's
for the
really
last couple of years. Yeah, because we're pretty new still, so we're we should make a time capsule of when we first started, and yeah, but that's still in the works.
all right. That's really cool. Time capsule. I never thought of that. That'd be really useful. Um, Taylor, do you have anything?
Um, we do scrapbooks. I think we have a lot of those, and I'd like to get the chapter more involved with that, so they have a say and they get to choose their favorite events and pictures and stuff that go with that. And we also have this huge poster board, this huge panel thing. It's black. It's massive, and it has all these strings on it that go with the bigs and the littles, and so that's kind of cool.
And this is a really big thing I think you've been doing a good job on. You don't even think about it. The social medias. We've never done that until this year.
Yeah.
Explain what you're doing with that.
I usually just try and post a picture of like the group or I guess what's going on to our fan page, and then to the West and the Mac to whatever is like whatever it applies to. And just sharing what we're doing is really what's important. We've been getting a lot of traffic, I guess, on our fan page since we've been doing that, and we use Instagram quite a bit too. So, and also start to like, I'm trying to get this Twitter account set up because people love Twitter. So,
And I think that's great, really. Some people don't really realize we think we're limited to just scrapbooks or keeping an oral history on hand, but really I think social medias are like the next stage of how to keep records, because you need to keep visible electronic records of your history. And that's something people really don't think about because you do it instantly. It's a social thing, but it's also a good way to keep track of all this stuff of like, oh yeah, what did we do last year? Then you can just check online and see what's already there. And I think
pretty easy too.
Yeah, like it's something you can look back on automatically.
Yeah.
It's already there. And this is the scary part, but online is kind of like a permanent mark or something, which is why I recommend if you don't have a website or some of these social medias, and maybe not all of them, but even starting with one of these would be a great idea for people that don't know where to start, which is why I think it's cool to see.
Instagram's really easy and manageable. So, yeah.
Something that I thought our chapter also does, our historian this year started doing like history facts of the week at our chapter meetings, and like so history facts of like the district or nationals, or like, and then also for our chapter, which is a way to get the chapter involved. And so everyone's always like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting, like our chapter did this 3 years ago or something, or our chapter was founded now, like blah blah blah. But it's a cool way to kind of get it involved in every meeting, because sometimes like we don't always get history involved in every.
Right. That's good.
Sam, did you want to share anything?
What's the question?
Just how you take down history, what tools you use, anything new you've tried this year.
Well, that's what I really want to learn is, I think, because I'm the Iota Alpha Historian Alumni Secretary, and I kind of have a clear idea of what I'm trying to do with the alumni and involve the alumni and how I communicate with the alumni. But I feel like from the historian side, I'm very lost on what I really should be doing and what I need to be doing constantly. So I'm really here. I want to know like what other chapters are doing. Like I heard you guys talking about like the Instagram and the Facebook, and I definitely want to start incorporating that more with our events and with our, our service projects and stuff. So we have more of an online presence in that aspect as well. I've noticed that a lot of chapters this is something I started doing recently, is I follow a lot of chapters of both Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma on Facebook to see what they do. And it's kind of interesting. You get this kind of wide range of stuff. You get like the Alpha chapter, for example, for Kappa Kappa Psi, very formal and very pristine. Everything they post is very, it looks very professional. And then you get other chapters who post a lot more, and their posts have a little more, seem to have a little more, not character, but have a little more personality in them. And so it kind of helps get a general idea about the chapter. And that's something I want to start incorporating next year. For right now, I don't feel as if, I take a lot of pictures, and when we have events, whenever people take pictures, I ask them to send them to me and our respective webmaster. But outside of that, I'm not really doing anything else, and that's kind of what I want to learn on how to keep a better preservation of history.
Okay.
And that's a really good point. How I see the history positions of like any various sort, or even just doing it for yourself as being an active member, it's like having a platform to represent your chapter. My advice to you is to remember that this is a very interactive position instead of just being limited to photos or just posting stuff. I see this as like you're the one responsible for keeping track of what's going on and updating to the chapter or to the public. So these are great ways to like talk to your alumni or to show the district what you're doing or to show it nationally what you're doing and what progress you've been doing. And it's really important to keep in mind of that perspective because you can feel really limited to what's already here because history is like a really important thing like 20 years from now. You want to remember like, oh yeah, we did a service project that kind of worked in the past. It's still relevant for the present, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Like, that's the sort of thing you should be keeping in mind, as well as keeping in communication with your chapter members, your council, and all that sort of stuff. If you guys aren't looking on the chat, AJ just put out the doc that we've been working on together on the tips you can use for history. And there's like a ton of people you can just start talking to about new ideas to do historian duties. And those are just like the beginning things. There's also like other websites you can use to record your history, like family trees. I'm trying to remember what else is on there. There's a lot of stuff on there. Like there's stuff for TBS and KKSI that could be useful for us to use. I don't know. Is this kind of what you're seeing, Sam? Like I'm trying to help, if that makes sense.
Ooh. Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I think there's a lot of good stuff up here. We actually just did our what do you call it? Our publication, and we're already starting brainstorming ideas for the next one. And I think that's one of the things we're definitely trying to do more often. And I think like kind of going on what you're saying is keeping copies and keeping stuff. Is so we can look back on it in the future and say, oh yeah, remember this semester we did this, or oh that was a really cool thing, we should do it again.
Hi Sam, I'm Charlene. I don't know if you heard my brief introduction. I'm one of the Western District governors, and I was a historian. It was one of my first offices in my chapter. So one helpful way for me to look at it is that for me, when I was historian and now just being a history teacher, I look at it as like twofold. Like one part of your job is to like document the legacy of your chapter, and another part is to document like the learning, the living lessons that your chapter needs to continue to exist. That part of history we talk about where we look back in the past and learn from the lessons, right, and the mistakes made, or the successes. So that really helped me kind of slot things as what am I doing that's public for a legacy that I want to promote, that I want to say here are our successes, here are the positive things, and what are we learning from that's more internal, that I need to keep internal records for future brothers and sisters to look back on in their chapter and say, this could have gone better in this way. So what Natalie's talking about, a lot of the online, the Instagram, the Facebook, a lot of that is, can be used in multiple ways. We just want to make sure we're differentiating between what is like something for the public, our legacy, what is something internal for our chapter, the learning part. And there's like the document has, and like everyone's saying, there's a ton of ways that I've seen that happen. Family trees, the committees. I found when I was historian having a committee to sort of divvy up the work amongst was probably one of the best things that I could do in sort of instilling that sense of like, it may not seem important right now in this moment, but there's a place for the history, there's a place for our, things to be documented, and having subcommittees. So like for this event, we had one committee in charge of all of the photo documentation, the like sort of legacy piece, and then we had one half of the committee in charge of the learning piece, eliciting feedback, collecting standard operating procedure forms, those kinds of things. So like using that approach really helped me figure out and manage, I guess, the workload. Because if you put the time and effort into it, it becomes a big thing, right? Every single event, regardless of the committee, fundraising, service, social, everything needs to be documented, and that is like triple the amount of the work of one committee who's putting on one event. So I think maybe looking into a committee for your chapter and having various representation, like having at least one member from every committee on the historical committee, could help make sure that you have all sort of perspectives balanced, and then also help you have a sense of direction and facilitation, and then people you feel like can help put in some input, do some of the work, because it seems like from what I'm hearing you want ideas, you want things like that. But once you get going and once you start putting all those ideas into place, you're going to need a team to really support your work as a historian. And it's really easy. I love how your office is combined to incorporate alumni into that. They're part of your legacy. They're part of a source you can learn from. And so building small things, having someone from the membership education committee would be helpful. Say, hey, can we get an alum in here to teach a lesson on our chapter history? Hey, can we get an alum in here to, work with us on the publication or tell us what happened, with, I think, is Bulldog Beats Your Band publication? Maybe that's the wrong one, but like finding something different, that they can help with or that you can learn from them about. It's like a really great mesh, I think, a crossroads for some opportunity for alums to come back and feel like they're valued, but not necessarily like drive the train.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned alumni, because there's a program that I've tried to do this year, and I've done it twice so far, and I call it Alumni AMAs. And so what it is you get an older alumni. We had an alpha actually come in. That was our first one, was an alpha, and come in, and then just we asked them questions. It wasn't necessarily even related to like Kappa Kappa Psi. It was like you're a music teacher. What made you want to do this? You play trumpet. Why did you start playing trumpet? Stuff like that, and that was really great. And so that's something I've definitely tried to incorporate. Now back to you're mentioning like the teaching lessons, or the lessons history. There's like the public history and the lessons history. What is your recommendation of records for that? Like, how would you keep that? Would you keep it like in a back office, or is that all online too?
What do you mean records for teaching? Like
what I mean is, like, because you were talking about like the two different types of things you're keeping, like preserving it. Like, what do we take down everyone's what they thought about this service event? Where do we keep that stuff?
I found it really helpful to have like Google email accounts for all the officers that just pass down, because we have a lot more space digitally. Like my chapter did scrapbooks for a little while, and then it just, once we started getting older and bigger, like we were just like, where do we put 10 large scrapbooks? Like this is completely unreasonable. So we found digital archiving to be the best for that, sort of like creating folders and shared folders, and that way you can pass down, sort of like the district officer accounts, you can pass down all of that without doing anything but saying, here's the password, change it, it's yours now, instead of being like, here's 5 boxes, find some room in your closet to keep all these things. So I found like that kind of stuff, if you just organize it by event, like for example, Lambda Alpha had an Uno tournament for a long time. It would just be in the Uno tournament folder, and then we just have years going after that, and we could see common feedback. Or if you just hit, Control F and look up, like we had a problem with like pizza, we could look up and see what everyone said about pizza. So we used Google Forms a lot towards the end before my chapter shut down to keep track and get some feedback, and just keeping it sweet and short and targeted around specific areas made it a lot more manageable than just be like, what did you think of this event? Was it good? Was it bad? So asking specific questions really helped us, and we just kept it all digitally and passed that down as we changed historians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, Charlene, you mentioned like, where do you put, 10 scrapbooks or such and such. Every year, I know we have our candidate classes make a scrapbook for their class, and then at the end of the year we have the end of the year scrapbook, which is the one we take to convention and stuff. But we've been very fortunate that the music department has given us a faculty office in the old music building. And I mean, it has a desk in it. Right now, it has like way too much stuff in it, and we're working on cleaning it out. But it's where like the brothers keep like our ritual chest. The sisters have their ritual chest in there. Like all of our scrapbooks are right now just on the table because it's 26, 27 years of scrapbooks, and so it's just all over the table. We're in the process of cleaning it, and it's like our office is definitely like has a lot of history in it. Like you walk in and we have like apparently like in the late 90s, early 2000s, whenever bands who had chapters traveled to bowl games, if there was an opposing band that had a chapter, they gave like plaques to each other, and it was like there's plaques from like 2000, 2001 from like Georgia Tech and their chapter, and so we have all those plaques on the wall. All the placards from convention are up on the wall.
Awards won in the past.
Oh, nice.
A couple active pictures. So there's like an active picture from like the early 90s, and then an active picture from like 2005, like up on the wall. And so like, and then our national test we have, like our final test we have, our candidates take. Those all get put into the desk drawer. And so like I was just cleaning it out one day, and I opened that drawer up, and it had like the alphas test, like all of our alphas, and it was like, what do they think of of brotherhood in 1988, or what do they think of sisterhood, what do they think of service? And then in addition to all that, I found like it was like convention minutes from like 1991, convention minutes from like 1994, and they're like they're like this big of these packets of paper that are all the minutes and stuff. And then it also had like every chapter who had a mascot in the Western District, and it had like all the mascots information. It was like a short bio even. It was really, really cool that, I mean, I found it, but we have like one of the first publications of like the accent out there, and it's really, really cool. I gotta go find it again, but luckily we don't have to worry about when we pass stuff down. We have our officer emails, but we just pass them down. Yeah. But we don't have to worry about, hey, take 70 scrapbooks with you as well.
Sure. It'd be good to, just in case, scan. Like that could be one of your huge projects for your historians to start scanning and making digital records. And also, like, it'd be a good place for you guys to do like mini lessons on like how Brotherhood has changed, especially with Jack's campaign for KKSI Matters, and like how Brotherhood's changed and how our understanding of KKSI Mattering changes. But also there's the caboose at headquarters that they have like each chapter has a spot for archiving that you can send stuff. It's like a little fireproof box, and they have stuff you can send. The alumni, or who's the historical archiving? I think Scott Stowell is in charge of that. It's Ken Corbett, or maybe it's the two of them together. But they are in charge of archiving. So there's a space, it's not very big, but there's a space for like really important stuff, like if you have your chartering document, or like, for example, stuff that you don't want to lose or be burned in a fire, it's like old, that kind of stuff. They have space for each chapter to archive stuff. So that might be a project you guys go through together and figure out if you want to send some really, really special stuff to nationals to hang on to in their little fireproof box thing. So that might be a cool project too. Sounds like you guys got a lot of stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Really
there's
cool.
a lot of stuff.
No, I had something else to go.
Sorry, it's me.
Something that got brought up, Natalie brought it up earlier, but we also brought it up in the first part of the Hooked on History discussion, was taking down actives that had been through the program, the organization at your chapter. I know earlier this semester, I remember I was calling Natalie or Taylor, and they were in the library, like writing on mirrors, like writing out the lines of, this is who's been through here, this is their big, this is their little, stuff like that. And that was really cool. And we actually, I just put this in the chat. This link is actually our new family tree with everybody we have in it. if it wants to work, which I don't think it does, but I'll figure it out. Basically, it has like red bubbles and blue bubbles, and it's all separated by class horizontally. And then each class that goes down, there's arrows that go to someone's littles, and then that person has 2 arrows coming from their bigs. And so it connects and shows. Oh, it is on the mystery doc. Okay. Shows how everybody is connected and stuff like that, and it's a cool way to kind of show like prospective members like, hey, somehow we're all related. I think everybody in between Iota Alpha and 8 Omega is related with the exception of one line. But that's like 300, 400 people total that have been through. And that's something we update as much as we can. And that luckily that's digitally, because for a while we couldn't find our digital copy. We had no access to it. And so
well, actually, there's an older brother who had a picture he showed me of before they had it online. They had a bunch of printer paper that they wrote it on and taped it all against like a wall to draw it out, and it was this huge thing, and it looked really, really bad. So I'm glad that it's now all online too.
Ask Sai about theirs. They have a huge, it's cloth, and every time someone gets initiated, they sign and date it, so like their signature, and it goes back for a long time. They have a huge hole like where the war was, but it's like they have to pin up several layers, and it like goes from the wall down onto the floor. It's just so big that they've kept going and going and going, and it's starting to fade a little bit, but it's really cool because it has everyone's signature on it. So there's a ton of ways, but also that's like they're unfolding like this gigantic, almost tablecloth. It's like literally the size of maybe like 5 whiteboards in a row. I'm just like, oh my god, where does this thing go, and how do you tack it up to the wall? But yeah, there's a lot of cool ways you can do that.
Awesome.
We also like do our family trees like kind of like diagrams, but we have them all listed on our website, and you can like click. I'm gonna post it on the little. And these aren't like the most updated versions, but on our website you can click on like a family name, and then it will take you to their family tree and like bios of the members and stuff. So like that's kind of how we store it. Store that information just because, like the website will be there, and even as we update it, we'll just update it on the website too. And just in case something happens to our files, it's always there, which I think is nice. Too. But I think Natalie was like one that said like, yeah, it doesn't always. You guys were just talking about this, but it doesn't have to look a certain way. It's just like however works for what your chapter wants to do.
The important part is keeping the details, like just keeping a list of the details of families and their nicknames if they have them, or if they don't, just keeping the names. Like that's like the key word I think for family trees, because I know it took me a while to like get it from beginning to end, because we're still a young chapter, and it took me about 2 years to get 10 years worth of family trees together, because I was piecing it from scrapbooks and what I found on my Google account, and it was a hot mess. But yeah, that's all I have to say with that. Yeah?
Getting information down somewhere like is just really important, even if it's not in family tree form yet. It's like just recording it so it's easier to make later. I know like, a while ago I started like a spreadsheet with like just the names of the people, like the active, their class, their big, and their little, like, and just that helped our historian like make family trees too in that sort of way, just so you can't, because like it's really easy to forget after the years go by, like whatever thing that happened was. But yeah, just keeping like a spreadsheet or something you can just add to, I think is important too.
Yeah, to add on that, I found that historian is like one of those jobs where people, if they're not into it and it falls behind, it's really hard to catch up. Like we'll have like a couple years worth of stuff that's not sorted through or not documented, and it's just so hard to catch up. So I think cultivating a mindset within your chapter that like history is important. It's not one of those things we do just to like just to do or just to dredge through, or only because National says we have to have an office called historian. Like, it's really important to like get in that mindset and that habit of being like, it's important to mark down where we're at and what we're doing, and for future reference, but also to like use it as a jumping off point for like, hey, this is what we're really good at. Like, we want to share this with the Western District, with the nation. We want this to be like a permanent mark of like, this is what Iota Alpha is awesome at. This is what Omicron is doing really well right now, and like showcase that. So like, it's hard, but the more people that have that mindset of just like, oh, another history scrapbooking party, because like when I was first active, that was like, oh my god, I have to go glue things to a page right now. How annoying. Like, oh great, there will be snacks. Like, like it's really important to get that mindset involved, like in your chapter, to like start that process of being like, this is why it's important. This is why we need to do it. This is why, we're all working on it together. So I think that's also an important piece, is like, it's not just doing the mundane stuff, but like really helping others get that perspective and get why it's important and why they need to keep up with it.
And another thing is like, even just encouraging people to take pictures of you doing something is a very simple act of keeping something alive. And I don't think people realize that. That's why I always encourage people in my chapter to do that, because I know I'm not going to be there forever. Like, we're looking into getting a camera or something, or talking about it, to find a way for the history to be kept alive, because it has been maintained roughly for 4 years, and just having that encouragement is really important. Or having a way to even keep the photos from other people is a good way too. That's why Google is another great option, because it does give you about a certain amount of space for you to hold on to photos, and then you can use them for other things later on, which is something people don't think about until the end of the year, where the district is asking for photos and you don't know where they are, you don't know where they've been, which is really difficult. It's like another key component. I would say if you're starting out and you don't have access to a camera, start asking around or asking people to take pictures from their phones, because even that is enough. I mean, if you want to go above and beyond the duty, it would be nice to have a camera, but honestly, you can use your phone and survive, and just communicating it out with the rest of your chapter would work.
Don't forget to throw in a selfie or two so that we all know you exist in 20 years, because I have like lots of pictures, and then for like an entire year I was like, oh yeah, I was in the chapter, and they're like, you're in none of these pictures, and I was like, I was taking them, that's why. So throw in a couple of yourself too. Does anyone have any questions for me about like national archiving or like other district stuff? I gotta head out, so.
You're the committee with archiving as well. I know that TBS has a committee for archives too.
We do. We have a national archiving committee, and they meet once a semester, roughly every 6 months. It's mostly like some really gung-ho older national presidents, but they open it up once in a while. Like last summer before NatCon, we had an archiving session in Stillwater where you could like go and like help go through stuff. So we have those occasionally, but the committee is usually closed to national leadership, so like they don't like publish their minutes, or you can't like sit on the committee and be like, cool, what are we talking about now? But we do have one, and sometimes they do open it up. But yeah, if you're interested in archiving in the caboose or any of that, Scott Stowell or Ken Corbett are going to be your guys.
Do you have contact information so we can pass it out to officers?
Yeah.
Is it somewhere really easy we can find? I'm sure we can find it for.
I have it. I can get it real quick.
Have it? Okay. Just.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. I'll put it in the doc too.
Let me double check that they're serving this biennium. I know they presented at the end of last biennium, and then now I'm getting all paranoid. I'm telling you the wrong thing.
Well, it's making me think about at NatCon, one really cool thing the history committee was doing was they were interviewing, or they were video recording all these past national presidents, because we've never had so many present at a convention. So they were like interviewing them and doing that, and I just thought that just kind of blew my mind, because I wish I was part of that, but I wasn't. But they were just interviewing like a president from the 50s, I believe, and she was like telling us about what was going on in that time, and it was just amazing to see and hear from somebody that's still pretty clear and talking about everything. Just another cool thing. History is cool sometimes. It's cool sometimes.
Sometimes. Time.
All the time.
I think I just got an email from them, and I think it's Ken, Tim, and Scott. That's who I had the email from.
Tim Green.
History.
Okay. There's also a Facebook page about history and Kappa Kappa Psi archives and history. So there's, I'm not sure if TBS has, but it's listed as sorority and fraternity. But there's there's a page where they do like history facts and like they like showcase some cool stuff that they find when they're archiving. So if you want to stay connected to when they're doing stuff, it's called Kappa Kappa Psi Archives and History, and I can link this Facebook page to the doc.
Sweet.
I'll put it in the KK Psi section.
Yeah.
Is this, Charlene, is this the committee that did that video and did that presentation during when we were voting at NACON?
Correct.
Okay.
Ah, it's just so cool.
What? Why can I not see? I can't see the Google Doc, guys.
What? Okay.
Wait.
I said it.
Wait, here we go. I'll click this one. There we go.
Oh my god, I think you're the Nyan Cat. Awesome.
Is the color rainbow?
Yes.
Excellent.
How'd you get that? I'm a bat, a purple bat.
And Charlene gets to be the Nyan Cat. That's cool.
Page. Ding. Oh. There we go. Anyone else? Anything they need before I head out? Cool. Okay, well, Sam, it was nice meeting and talking to you, and you too, Taylor, and everyone else. I will see you guys later. Have a good time. Learn lots. Woohoo. Bye.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, Sam.
Oh.
No, you go first. You're totally good.
I was just going to say, do you guys have any questions for us? Any concerns? Something that you want to figure out or anything like that? Because we got plenty of stuff, but we don't know what's needed. So, like anything you want to know or need to know or something like that. So there's a lot we can cover depending on what you want to talk about.
I think the biggest issue for me, at least, is the alumni.
Like talking to alumni, keeping track of alumni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting them like involved, or I don't know, even finding them.
I know our alumni is a mess.
Something that might help with that, Taylor. Natalie, you have access. I believe you should have access because I have access. If you log on to OMRS, it'll have everybody who's ever been through your chapter and their most recent email. I did that for a couple of the missing alumni that we had. We just had a couple of alumni missing with like names and nicknames and stuff, and so I used the OMRS to find them, and it worked. So if that's something that it might work, I don't know how far back it'll go because
We go pretty far. I've looked on this. We go from when we were first founded in 1949.
Okay.
But that's a good thing.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Very good. That might help though.
And another thing I noticed other chapters. Oh, sorry, Kate.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, even doing like a formal invitation instead of just doing it on Facebook would be a really good idea. And this would take a long time, but it's effective. Is finding email addresses of old actives would be a start. I know I could definitely help with that because some people have gone alumni, but it's never been kept track. That's something I've seen. I think EK does that. They're the ones that send out formal emails to alumni, and then they have like a normal official invitation to go, which is something that would be really cool to have other people do. That was just one thing.
I think one thing that's been successful for MuPi and kind of contacting alumni is we do utilize like Facebook to contact them, and we have a group page for just alumni. I guess current like actives and alumni, where we post all the information. But one thing that's like really kind of made it interactive between alumni and the actives, just to kind of keep them sort of involved in knowing what's going on too, is we do a by term basis newsletter for the alumni, like it's specifically for the alumni, and sometimes we contact specific alumni members to write things for that even, or like, and that kind of gets them more involved, like tell us what you're doing with your life, so when we send out to other alumni, then they'll want to read it and see what the people that they were active with have been doing. And then also like when we sent out a survey to them to like be like, tell us what you're doing, and it was just like simple questions, they also seemed to participate more just because it was like we were asking questions about them rather than just trying to get them to like come to our stuff, which is like they're both important, but like just getting that personal connection with them, like tell us about you, because that's something that's easy for them to do, and it's like important to us too to learn about who came before us.
Kind of on that idea. There's an idea thrown around in alumni calendar, which is we have a lot of alumni who are band directors in the area, and who also there's quite a few who perform in regular ensembles and groups. And so one of the ideas had is kind of like what you're talking about, asking them questions, but getting responses of, hey, when's your high school band's concert? Or hey, is there a marching band competition that we can go see you at? Or maybe a practice, right before finals, you'd be okay with, 5-10 of us dropping by just to watch and support you. And then making that into a calendar that you can sign on and add. So both actives and alumni could have access. So maybe you haven't seen this person forever, but they're a band director at so-and-so. Oh, look, it's his concert, his winter concert is happening. I should go see him. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. So, is that something that seems like that's kind of piggyback on your idea of getting the alumni involvement, not just coming to our stuff, but their stuff too.
I really like that idea, yeah. And kind of I think that kind of stuff makes alumni want to stay involved and in touch with the chapter too. Because if it's always just like, we want you to come do this stuff for us, then like, what are we giving back to them? So. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Nick.
I don't think any of you know me.
Are you in uniform?
I am. I'm in the middle of a concert, so hi. I'm taking time out to crash this.
That's awesome, man.
But,
go introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Nick Lowy. I am a mechanical engineering student here at Cal Poly, and I'm the co-historian for Iota Pi. I don't know if you guys met Lisa, but she's my partner in crime.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of a concert right now, so I'm going to have to drop out, but I'm going to stay around for as long as I can. Don't know what you guys have been talking about, but
awesome.
Listen in.
I'll catch up real quick. So we were going over stuff about, how tools we use to archive and tools we use to take on history. We mentioned stuff like taking down family trees, using Google Docs, using Google Drive, passing down officer emails, so that way you can just leave everything on the email and just give a new password, and that way everything's backed up automatically through Google or whatever email you use. and Charlene, the Western District Governor, was with us and for a while, and she was talking about how
Do more in 7 days.
what? Hold on. That was weird. Sorry, I just started playing. But Charlene was talking about how some of the best ways to have history is to teach, maybe have older members or alumni members come back and teach a lesson or remind people about, or not remind people what brotherhood is, but or sisterhood, but kind of what it was back then and how things have changed, and how archiving, especially now, is such a popular thing just because we are in a digital age. Alumni are also part of the legacy that we try to uphold. And if we, some chapters have done really, really big historian stuff, and even though it might, be double or triple the work, it'll be double or triple the reward in the end, because it'll benefit people down the road. And so it's just setting up your current chapter and your future chapter for success. It's kind of what the big message was. And right now we're just talking about we're just kind of just open discussion about what we're doing to take on history and what can work. I know because at Cal Poly you guys have your historian and your alumni secretary is a completely different, two different offices, right?
Yeah, Kayla's our alumni secretary, so it's pretty split work, and she does a lot of the heavy lifting with alumni. From us, it's mostly actively logging present events, and then she does the contacting and collaboration with them. So I didn't know that was a thing, that's a combined office for most people.
Well, I don't know for most people. I know Iota Alpha has it this way.
We have
Lambda
it
has it that way too. What was that, Kate?
We have 2 separate offices for that too. So probably about half and half, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we don't really collaborate much, so I think that could be a good place to improve on. Especially because most of our alumni move very far away. None of them really stick around, so there's not a lot of participation from alumni, so I wouldn't say there's a lot of room for education from alumni. A lot of what we do history-wise for educating the current chapter is off of documents and photos that they leave behind, and we're not very good at, or we weren't very good at, logging where people went, how to contact them. A lot of people don't respond, so it's tough for us at least, just because I don't know why, but there's not a lot of paper records.
That's another thing I would advise before they leave anyway, is to get all their contact information if you don't have it already, or at least getting it from the VPM or something. Like, keeping all that information is vital to keep them connected to their chapter, because alumni really do like to see what we are doing still. It's just a truth that they do. Sorry, I'm like off of my own thing, but they really enjoy that, and I would recommend getting all that information from somebody that already has it, like the secretary, who should already have active member stuff, and if they're graduating, should keep it and talk to them, and then also collaborating with not just the historian. You said you keep alumni and history separate?
Yeah.
I would definitely talk to Kayla more about that.
Well, I wouldn't say, like,
or
when I say we lost a lot of records, I mean like farther back. We're pretty good now. Like the past 5 or 6 years, we've got that all down pat. But anything farther back, it gets kind of blurry because things have gotten lost, or there wasn't a digital archive of things that we could easily access.
And that's another thing, is doing the research. Or do you have a committee?
No, just
like
us.
You could start that, like if you ever wanted to start a big project, because the last discussion we were doing, we were talking to Theta's historian, and they're doing this huge project on the complete band history at the school. Like, that's something they're starting on, and they're looking through everything. I don't know if you're interested in doing that sort of thing. That's another way to expand your duties, since you said there's 2 historians, co-historians.
Right.
So that's something you could do if you choose to.
We actually just did that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Kappa Kappa Psi activity. It was a music department thing in general. But this is our 100th year as a marching band. So we went through our library's records and found a bunch of stuff we didn't know existed. So that was cool. Whether or not it actually ties into what our chapter does is kind of hazy, just because our chapter started just as the band dissolved for 5 years before it came back. So there aren't a lot of records as it came back, just because it wasn't an official organization for a while. And a lot of when the chapter started, it was like the same couple of people for a while, so they were still figuring things out, I guess. And I guess the best way to go around getting more information about back then would be to interview people, but like I said, it's hard to follow up and find people.
There's also other resources for Kappa Kappa Psi, like checking out the website. I was perusing it briefly to see if there's like any documents you could use. I know that at least for TBS, I found some information for my chapter, and we got rebooted after like a 50-year gap of the band programs. Our history kind of aligned with our band program at the moment, but it sounds like you should definitely check into maybe not just interviewing, but also checking into archive work of KK Psi. How old is the chapter exactly? You said the band program's 100 years old. How old is?
The chapter started in 95, 96.
Okay, that's a good
not
start.
That old, but it's old enough, but not that old.
I think you're at a period where you can probably find stuff in Kappa Kappa Psi documents where you can start piecing together what's going on, if that makes sense. Like, you can have a committee that's dedicated to that as a starting off point to start figuring out the details. If it is kind of like, oh, there wasn't that many people there. I know Omicron had the same problem. So I would definitely check that out and definitely get help into that, because we were talking about researching it and keeping it all together. And that would definitely be the starting point. If you really wanted to figure it out, you don't have to, but that's just another way to utilize your position into that sort of stuff. Like, there's so many venues of finding out what happened at that time when you first started. Like, there's many ways you can do it.
All right. Cool. That's a lot of information to bring back. Thanks.
We have this all in a doc, if you haven't looked at it.
I don't.
I don't copy it so you can
Okay.
and in the chat. Like, that's something we've been keeping all of the stuff we've been talking about into.
When we post the videos and the Twitter feed to read back through on the West, we'll post this doc with it. And Nick, I'll post the doc also on the Western District Historian page.
And I'll do the same with TBS.
I'll do that right now. But, yeah. Jake? Hey, Jake? Yeah. Jake, if you want to introduce yourself. And we're talking about tools we use to take down history and stuff like that. So if you want to go ahead and...
Oh, okay, cool. So, Jake, y'all, I think I've met pretty much most of the people there. I love all of you already, even if I haven't, because I just love people. And the thing that we usually do, we have a Facebook page now for Lambda Psi, so we take a lot of pictures, and we post a lot of stuff on our page through our webmaster and everything. We have some scrapbooks that we use, although we're trying to find some of the scrapbooks because some of them went missing after WDC this year, and so I've been really trying to figure out where those all went, because they were pretty cool. Our big thing that we use for history keeping is our nickname scrapbook, which is where we, after every person goes through, they have it, and then they write down what their nickname is, and they write down all the words that go in it, and like explain like what everything means in their nickname. And so that's pretty cool. We have our shadow box that's right across from our band room. And so we put a lot of pictures up in there and just kind of like document like what we're doing throughout like the month and everything, and just lots of stuff. I've been putting a lot of festive spirit in every month for like different holidays and everything that have been going on. And that's mainly it. We just take like a lot of pictures. I started a project this semester where we have officer binders. So every position has its own binder, and what every officer has to do is that they have to figure out who was in their position before them since the beginning, and they have to write down the person's name and like what year it was, and if they're more recent, write down some contact information. So that way, if people are interested in running for the position in the future, they can find out who that person, people that have been in the position before, and like contact them and ask them some questions or get some advice from them if they need it, and just so that we know like what everyone did before us. That's it. I've been trying to get a new poster, like a what are they called? Like a tack board. There's one that's right next to a shadow box, but it's not for us. And so I've been trying to get that one so that way we could post our minutes up there, because we want to try and keep a paper copy for minutes also. So we're gonna leave a copy next to our shadow box that are safe for public viewing, so like no secret stuff in them, and just like leave them out so that way if anyone's interested in what we're doing, they can read what our minutes are and see what we've been talking about. And that's mostly it. I've been trying to do a lot more with our position since I got it, because usually it's just been take pictures, give books to different people, make the shadow box look pretty.
Jake,
Yes.
so you talked about officer binders where you try to find the previous people who had the position, right?
Yeah.
What if like, because this is something I think Charlene talked about earlier, is having people in the historian committee also be in other committees, or have someone from each committee be in that committee. What if part of that idea of you have to figure out who had the past position, also like they're in charge of, taking picture. Like you have like 5 things that they need to do. You got to take a picture of the committee, have to take a picture of when, like, a picture of the meeting, a picture of, like, if they're the like the treasurer committee, a picture of them at the profit share. And so the historians could do the big stuff like the events and the activities and the service projects, but having each committee in charge of some of the smaller stuff, like just even as much as documenting this is everyone who's in the service committee this year, and they're in charge of, they're held responsible holding that, instead of us trying to, like, well, I can't meet you guys, can I get everyone in service to meet here? Oh, but so-and-so can't make it, so they're not in the picture, sort of thing. And so it's on them.
Okay, that's a cool idea. I haven't made committee binders yet. I was thinking about doing that next semester. So we don't have like a committee like for historian or anything. It's just me doing stuff. But I usually just have people, like anyone that's around, like if anyone's taking pictures, I just ask them like, hey, send those to me after. We have a lot of people that have like nice cameras, or like people that just like always take pictures on their phones and everything. So I get a lot of stuff from that. But I do always just try and encourage people just to like take as many pictures as they want on their own. Like I know the webmaster always takes a bunch of pictures like themselves, because they have the direct access to like our websites and everything. So then they always just post everything right away. Like if they just take it themselves and I just have them send it to me so I can put it on the hard drive later, or just like copy it from the internet and just put it on the hard drive later. But yeah, that'd be a really good idea to put in them, because right now I just have the roster of who's been in every position. But I think pictures of like stuff that like they do would probably be really good too to put in there. I wish I had heard that. Sorry, Charlene.
I have a question. Natalie and I asked this last time. Is there anything that you guys as historians want from Natalie and I that either we could prepare to have ready at DLC, or kind of long-term goals that you maybe like we could do a second historian discussion in the second semester around, or kind of like ending the year kind of thing. Is there something that for you guys that you guys would like to see from the council as a whole, or just Natalie and myself?
I think more discussions like this would probably be good. I always like bouncing ideas off of other people and like getting new ideas from people. So, especially since this position for us in our chapter has always been kind of small, and we took a lot of stuff out of the position when we added new positions. Like the historian used to have like a lot of corresponding stuff, but now we have an actual corresponding secretary, so like it lost a lot of stuff. So it's always just cool to get more ideas on what other people are doing. So that way I can keep adding more stuff for the position to do.
So we were discussing this today, was having a pizza dinner or doing a breakfast thing for history officers. So that sounds like a good idea now, getting the feedback, because we weren't sure what we wanted to do. I wasn't sure myself because I don't have enough history officers. I have like 4. So I've combined history and alumni together because they're connected, because the roles are sometimes put together and sometimes they're taken apart. So that sounds like a good idea then, AJ? Yeah?
Yeah, I think after we talked about it earlier today and then kind of today or just now, I think having that at DLC and having like this is great. This computer based is great, but I mean, I only get to see Jake whenever I make the trip up to San Jose, and I mean I don't get to see anybody else. I mean, I get to see Sam, but I think a face-to-face discussion at DLC would be awesome. So if you guys would like us for that to happen, Nat and I will totally talk to the DLC chairs and see if we can get a room for dinner and have pizza and just talk it out. So
I love pizza.
I know you do.
Thanks, AJ.
Yeah, we will plan that. Just put that down.
Yeah. Another thing is like setting up expectations for WDC then with the usual slideshow, except we could maybe do something with that. Maybe talking about that before we're all off in April doing stuff. So
I definitely want to see like a lot more like chapters pictures.
Yeah.
And because last year's was really good, but I feel like in recent years or since WDC I've been to, I feel like it's generally the same. Like out of like the 22 chapters we have, it's generally the same like 10 chapters that have like 50 pictures, and every other chapter has like 1. And it's like I've been at like Banquet like a couple years ago. And I'm thinking like, man, we did a lot of service this year. And then when we were going through the slideshow, I was like, I didn't take any pictures while I was service officer. And like a lot of them are like really cool, like handbow cleaning and horn polishing and all this stuff. And I was like, man, that would have been really cool to show. Or like having that slideshow. So we'll work on that.
I think setting up the expectation for that at DLC would be great, and that way chapters would have the chance from January to April to have that chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should. Sounds like we're gonna do it, Kate. Sounds like we're gonna do it after all, amongst all the other stuff. It's gonna be fun. Another cool thing would like have a challenge or something, maybe for his history officers or alumni officers, to give them like the excuse to do that. Would anybody be interested in something like that? Like this is just popping out of my head right now. Like doing that sort of thing. Like you have a goal for that sort of thing. Maybe.
So it's like a challenge for the historian to do
their job.
Their job?
Or well, something to like give you creative licensing to do something.
So sort of like more of an exterior motivator for the historian to motivate the chapter to help them?
Yes. I would think something along like that.
Yeah.
Something that would be interesting to do.
So like a specific task.
A what? I'm
A
sorry.
specific task or something?
Maybe, yeah, something simple, I would think.
Yeah.
I already have a challenge for you guys then, if you that's already existing. As historians, you can partake in the challenge of submitting things to the accent because
I keep forgetting to do that. Okay, I have mine like all planned out. I just need to write it. Tell Hannah I'm
Because-
sorry.
because that's part of our history too, is like the history or the what's going on in each chapter. So you guys as historians.
Definitely be up for that.
Huh.
I have a
That's
really,
not usually my job.
I have a really cute idea, and that I've been really thinking about, and I just keep forgetting to like actually write it.
Well, you
I'm-
have time, I think, right?
But it can,
Till
like,
Friday is what she said.
You can do it.
I'll do it on Dead Day.
Probably.
Dead Day?
Yeah, it's the day after, last day after instruction, and the day before final start. Not all of us get dead week, Kate. I
Our
hate
dead-
seeing
our
those
dead-
posts. I hate seeing like, oh, dead week, and I'm like, I hate you guys getting a whole week, or anyone that posts about getting a whole week off.
We still have
You
classes.
still have classes? Then why is it
Yeah,
called
it's not
dead week?
active. It's because we're all dead the whole time.
Oh.
No,
I
it's
thought it meant like you didn't have any classes.
usually
Okay, well now I'm
that's what it means. But for us, for my school, that's not what it means. We just call it that because it's the week before finals. But we definitely
Okay.
still have classes.
okay, well now I'm a little less bitter about that. Because I was so mad. I was like, I wish I had a whole week to like study and like get ready for finals. I just get a day. Where are my pants?
Oh, something simple with the accent articles would be
Mm-hmm.
Mac. Like, I would totally see that being another thing to do. Like, this is just simple things that we could already be doing but don't think about. Like,
Doing what?
the monthly active challenge is so simple.
Oh, Mac. I had no idea what word came out of your face. So.
Jake, are you okay?
I was trying to find my pants because I have a concert tonight, but I think I know where they are.
Uh-huh. So that could be something we could set up and work on for DLC and for the rest of our terms, right,
Okay,
AJ?
cool.
Definitely.
So sounds like we liking that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. What time is it?
3:15.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys have anything else you want to add, or any more questions? You guys can always reach Natalie and I on Facebook or our emails.
Or in person.
Or in person, Sam. Yes. And I guess
Sure.
Tish as well can talk to Natalie in person.
I wish I could see Natalie in person.
Oh, you're just,
Natalie, you're my favorite. When are our shirts coming? I'm so excited to wear it.
I am not sure. I would have to ask
Okay.
SB, our chapter.
Okay. Did you get my note?
I did. I was like, oh my gosh.
You're welcome. I need you on Snapchat, because every time I see something that's about Sriracha, I like Snapchat it and I put Natalie with a question mark on it, but I always just send it to Taylor, and I'm sure she thinks that they're okay, but I'm sure like she's tired of them by now.
Hey Jake,
What is it? Tell me what your name
Yes,
is.
I'm gonna
Gaga for Gaga 44.
broadcast. It's still recording for YouTube.
I know.
That's fine.
Everyone had Jake on Snapchat!
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect.
sorry.
I scream at the drive-through and find doppelgangers for my little.
You do. It's you chicken nuggets.
That's very accurate.
Hashtag is that Marissa Reed.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna stop this broadcast. The chat will still there, but I'm gonna stop the broadcast.
All right.
Thank you. We will see you soon.
Yeah.